вот уже треть жителей США в возрасте от 18 до 24 лет верят, что Земля плоская, а почти 15% американцев в возрасте за 30 с ними согласны.
Никому не нравится чувство, что мы находимся на маленьком шарике, который несется сквозь Вселенную. Да, закроют программы с астрофизическим и космическим уклоном. Оставшиеся естественные науки, как биология, геология, океанология, археология и другие, должны быть полностью обновлены.
Hold him. Now you listen to me, you hillbilly punk who thinks the world's still round. I'm here to tell you it's not. It's flat!
He's an interesting guy, man, and, you know, he believes it, so. Kyrie, the earth is flat, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, whatever.
The earth is flat, that's news.
That's news. There we go.
Tune into the truth frequency.
We are TFR. TFR.
Truth Frequency Radio.
Broadcasting straight to you from a large spaceship currently at war with the mainstream scientific community. Meanwhile, the Peanut Gallery is watching science's newest experiments to detect movement of Earth's water masses and changes in mass within the planet by measuring tiny fluctuations in the distance between two newly launched satellites from the Falcon 9 rocket. So far, the only density discovered is this whole concept. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Strange World, where the truth is often stranger than fiction. I'm your host, Mark Sargent, the creator of Flat Earth Clues, which propose that all of us are living inside a Truman Show enclosed structure thousands of miles wide. Check it out at enclosedworld.com or just Google Flat Earth Clues. If you can't find it, well, you're not very good at the internet then. For those of you listening to this on YouTube, you want to hear the show live as it happens, please go to Truth Frequency Radio for the latest schedule. Currently, the show is on Tuesday nights at 7 Pacific, 10 Eastern. And if it is not May 22nd, 2018, you are listening to a rerun right now. Not that that's a bad thing. I like reruns, personally. You know what you're getting. Quote of the day from the Peanut Gallery. It goes a little something like this. A man's feet should be planted in his country, but his eyes should survey the world. That was from George Santayana. Don't know who that is, but I'm sure the Peanut Gallery will tell me eventually, and I'm sure that quote was geared up for our guest, because yes, it is a subject matter expert show. You guys love it. You guys crave it. And who have we had so far? Subject matter experts. Let me rattle them off real quick. And hang on, sorry, if Peanut Gallery's messaging me saying, "Oh yeah, I should apologize for missing the show last week." No, I should not apologize for missing the show last week. My machine died. My wonderful Alienware Aurora R4, the BIOS finally crapped out on it. I think the motherboard actually died, but I'm not positive about that. But so now it took me a week, and I'm back up and running with an R7. Love it. It's great. It's wonderful. It's bigger and better. It's like a T1000 if you're into Terminator movies. Anyway, subject matter experts so far. Here's what we've had. Ready? United States Navy missile instructor, United States Air Force navigator, a Marine Corps sniper instructor, a Navy submarine chief, an Army artillery radar operator, an Australian intelligence officer, an American flight instructor, an industrial engineer specializing in valves and seals, a career surveyor of 32 years. Hint, hint. International shipping expert, corporate travel agent, air traffic controller, United States Army master gunner, aviation and ground training combat expert, a USDA surveyor of 27 years, a 32nd degree Mason, an etheric science researcher, a commercial airline captain, a commercial airline co-pilot, an industrial vacuum expert, a merchant marine, U.S. Army air traffic controller, U.S. Navy navigator, and I'm going to start calling him this, U.S. Navy electronic warfare technician. Because cryptological technician, I just don't think it's caught on. Everybody knows what electronic warfare is. Sorry, I'm old school. So there you have it. And the Mark Sargent challenge is still in effect. And I will, of course, be altering this with the vacuum chamber thing once I get Clue 13 up and running. And we'll talk about this maybe a little bit during the show. That is the Mark Sargent Flat Earth Challenge. This is my personal declaration of war from Flat Earth against mainstream science. I, Mark Sargent, hereby put forth a challenge to any university, foreign or domestic, to debate or discuss the Flat Earth reality. The short version is this. You fly me in, take care of my hotel. I'll face down any scientific body you put against me. My only debate requirement is that you have someone with a master's degree in a physical science either participating in or supervising the event. Accept this challenge, you'll be treated with respect. If not, then you're just cowards hiding behind empty equations. So that is basically it. And I don't think I'm even really allowed to talk about the meetup yet in Los Angeles or the Salton Sea thing because there's release forms and there's a network that's going to be down there covering it, and I don't know the rules in this. I'll find out tomorrow. But we'll have a few shows before then, so I'm not too worried about that. So anyway, tonight is a subject matter expert night. And this is really fun for me because this is one of the few repeats we've had, and it's definitely the only repeat we've had over a distance of time. So if anyone has been following my work for a while now, if you go all the way back to, and you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong, Ray, all the way back to Strange World episode 50, is that true?
I think that's correct, yes.
Yeah, episode 50 back in April 6th of 2016. Wow. 2 years later, I'm talking to you on the phone. It's like, hey, you know what? Let's get you on the show. And because I've been, saying many times, like, look, nobody's ever bothered to recant their testimony. Nobody's come out against the subject matter experts we had. So it is my proud pleasure to introduce Ray from. You're still in Missouri?
I live in Kansas City, Missouri. Still same.
Kansas City, Missouri, and you were the career surveyor who did planar surveying, PLANAR. For those of you who want to look that up, there's two types of surveyors out there, planar and geodetic. Most of them are planar, and you did it from 1979 until?
I graduated. I did it from 1983 until 2008, I believe.
Oh, cool. Cool.
I think that's right. 2008. I think it was 27 and a half years, but I worked for the USDA, and I was a surveyor for the USDA, yes.
Got it.
And I'm not here. I won't be recanting any of my testimony. In fact, I think I'll be adding to it.
Nice. Well, let's recap a little bit. And I'm sorry, we had two different surveyors. You're right. You're the USDA surveyor of 27 years.
Yes.
Not the surveyor for 32 years. And honestly, I hate to say this, but you guys sound somewhat similar because
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think some survey, maybe it's the type. I'm sure all you guys were. I understand a pretty fun bunch of guys. Drink after work and swap stories.
I'm not. Can't speak for anybody else, but I was pretty serious with my job and straight with myself, at least back then. But yeah, maybe we just you learn how to talk the same when you have the same profession. That might be it. I wish I had your voice, but
no, you don't. No, you don't, because people say I sound younger than I am, which is really weird. I think in some ways, because because I just turned 50 recently, and it's like, wow, that just hit me like a ton of bricks. 30, 40, that's one thing, but turning 50, yikes.
50,
and coincidentally enough, Strange World 50. How appropriate, right?
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
I want to thank you for inviting me back on the show and having me back.
Oh, happy to do it, man. I'm glad you're on it. So let's recap a little bit. Let's go, if you can remember, because go back in the Wayback Machine to 2015 or whenever. When did you first start looking into this? Just the people that haven't, that forgot all the way back then. You remember people's short attention span, all the television shows. It's like previously on. Insert this show here. Here's what happened last week that you probably forgot. So when did you first look into the whole concept of flat Earth?
I like what appears to be the majority of people that realize, or at least start to side with the flat Earth. Your documentary, Flat Earth Clues, was my first experience. Exposure to this, and because I was a surveyor, and what I did for a living for 27 and a half years, I don't think I had the amount of cognitive dissonance. I could apply what I knew from what I did and it resonated with me within 30 minutes. I knew this man is bringing something that I knew was true, and I was ashamed of myself for having worked my whole career and it never even crossing my mind, but. That's it, my first influence was yours, and from what I can tell, most people's their first influence is either Eric Dubay, Mark Sargent, or maybe Matt Powerland. Is that
otherwise known as Matt Boylan. Yeah, I think that's his real name is Matt Boylan, but because Matt Powerland is not really a name. In fact, that's not even a good stage name. I hate to pick on him, but it's like, come on with something better than Matt Powerland. I mean, yeah, it's unique. But I've never met somebody with the first name of Math. So, anyway, so that's how you. But that's surprising. So when you first got into it,
Flat Earth Clues.
But you clicked right away.
Absolutely, within 30 minutes of your documentary, I knew that what you were bringing forward was true. I knew it, and I couldn't. And I've watched yours and many others' documentaries. I'm a fan of Flat Earth. I gave my interview, and it's one of the few things I wish that I could have done over. Since then, I've thought of so many things, so many things I should have said, could have said, compelling things that would have helped to maybe convince others, or at least make them consider an alternative to this globe. And I appreciate this opportunity that's been afforded me. I hope to make good use of it. Within the next hour or so.
Well, you know what? There's no pressure, and that happens with a lot of hell when I'm listening to my own shows. It's like, oh wow, I wish I would have done that differently. But everybody says that. I mean, it's an evolution of a process. You learn how some things work and some don't. And in your case, look, I mean, I think you were so great because you were one of the early guys that was doing this, and you heard the long list of people, and you were part of a wave of subject matter experts that came forward from all branches, not just the military, but all. In fact, the only people we didn't get were heavy aerospace, someone from NASA. Yeah, I was waiting for one guy. He was going in for surgery. Said, I'll call you when I get out. Never heard from him again. No, he emailed me. I talked to him, and I got an email from him, and I sent it off to the documentary team, and it's like I felt bad. Anyway, go ahead.
Oh, it's good. You did hear from him, even though he reneged and cried.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't renege. It was just that he went in for surgery, and he goes, "I'll call you when I get out." And then I never heard from him again.
Well, that's not a good sign. Okay.
No, it's not. But not completely honest.
I recommended during our interview. I suggested, based on me working with them in my career, I suggested that a good reference, if anybody would know of the shape of the Earth, it would be the Army Corps of Engineers. And you seem to like that suggestion or idea because nobody had mentioned that yet.
No.
But the Army Corps of Engineers, they have jurisdiction over all the U.S. waters. Every stream, every second order stream and larger creek, river, they have jurisdiction. They are the governing body of that area of our country. And what if I may,
sure, go ahead.
Well, I said that they would be a good reference, and what I should and could have said, and I knew this, is when you think and you hear about the Army Corps of Engineers, they're usually brought in on floods to try to protect and minimize the impacts of the hurricane in New Orleans, and they're usually when they're on the news, they usually are trying to save some town from devastating floods, but they're a big outfit. And you're right, they're boring because they don't carry guns. But I was associated with them on several projects, and one of their activities that the Army Corps of Engineers does is they'll take a existing meandering old moderate-sized large stream, small river, and they will excavate an arrow straight new channel. They'll take a meandering river that snakes all over the place, and they will excavate a new arrow straight channel. And this activity that the Army Corps of Engineers does in this country is lobbied for constantly by wealthy bottomland farmers because it addresses both of their threats. If you have an existing meandering river that's snaking all over the place, you get a lot of erosion from stream bank erosion from the meandering effect. And it's called sloughing off of the stream banks. Okay, you eliminate the meanders and the snakes, and you eliminate the erosion from stream bank erosion because the river is now arrow straight. And then, see, bottomland farmers, their big threat is flooding. So, you take away the meandering, the stream bank erosion, and then you got an arrow straight new river channel, and that aids in levee construction and levee maintenance. I mean, if you were going to build levees to protect from floods, would you rather build levees around a snaking, meandering river or an arrow straight river?
Good point.
And okay, well, the point I'm making is that be it constructing a river channel, a new river channel, or it would be very similar, I would think, to building a canal. And so many times, flat Earth people have used the Suez Canal or the Panama Canal as a good man-made construction project to help prove that there's no curvature and the Earth is flat. Well, I should have mentioned this activity that the Army Corps of Engineers did, but since my interview, let me see. Hang on, bear with me.
No, go ahead.
A comment under another YouTube video caught my attention, and I don't know this person. He had a username. I can't say that he is who he claims, but let me. Damn.
Take your time. It's no big deal. Well, what you want? Do you want to look while I give out the phone number for segments down the? Do you have it? Do you have it?
I found the comment. This is a comment that showed up in their YouTube Flat Earth video, and this is verbatim, I quote, "For all the ignorant people in the comment section, I am a land surveyor in 20-plus years. Not I nor any Army Corps of Engineer or Army Corps engineer have we ever accounted for fictitious curvature, not with a TopCon 1200, not with a treble GPS 2800, not with topo maps, not with aerial surveys, not anything," end quote.
Wow.
This a person claims to be a surveyor with the Army Corps of Engineers that construct new river channels. I know I was district conservationist for many years up in northwest Missouri, Daviess County, Missouri, and the two towns, the biggest river up there is Grand River. Grand River flows directly into the Missouri. But when I worked up there, between the towns of Chillicothe, Missouri, and Gallatin, Missouri, those are about 35 miles apart, there was a 15 or 20-mile stretch of Grand River that the Army Corps did exactly that. This Grand River, it had flooding problems, and it snaked everywhere, a lot of meanders, a lot of sloughing off of stream bank erosion. They excavated a new arrow straight Grand River channel. They made Grand River, absolutely straight for about 15 or 20 miles. and it benefits the bottomland farmer.
Wow.
And
that's a big project to try to make 15 or 20 miles of curving rivers straight.
I wasn't involved, but I was around it, and I'll tell you what, it is what shocked me, I mean, this old river that meandered everywhere. If the water wasn't up, it didn't flow that deep, but the crevice, the depth of the river channel was pretty deep. When they constructed this new river channel, I was amazed at how small it was. They let the water. I mean, water is very erosive and very destructive. When they dug this new river channel, it was about a fourth of the size that I expected it to be. It was just big enough to contain the water, and if it needed to grow, let the water do it. They didn't move any more dirt than they had to. That's the one shocking thing. The new river channel that they excavated was very small as to what I would have expected. A fourth the size of the old. But then they redirected into the new straight one, and the water, if it needs to be bigger, the water will cut its own path, and water is in equilibrium. It flows to and fills the path of least resistance, and if it needs more capacity, it'll cut it out. But at least the river will be straight now, and they did that right up there where I was working. So,
wow.
But anyway, that was a comment that caught my eye. And which supports, I mean, if he's who he says he is, that's 20 plus years of surveyor with the Army Corps of Engineers, that never do they take into account the fictitious curvature. This top con, whatever, the tools and the numbers that I don't know what they mean.
Mm-hmm.
That's his jargon. So that's what he wrote, and I thought that was worthy of mentioning.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let me put the all call out. If there's anybody who knows anybody in the Army Corps of Engineers, I'd love to talk to them. You're right. We haven't gotten one of those, and I've gotten a lot of military guys. I'm looking over the list here, and I've got probably a dozen different military guys in varying backgrounds. But I have yet to get an Army Corps of Engineers. Interesting, because out of all the people, now would they be absolutely a slam dunk? No. But it would be really good to talk to them because they're what you said. They're straightening out rivers, and they're dealing with a lot of moving water. So would be interesting to talk to them.
They are building a river. They're taking an old river and they're making a new river, and I would think even up to where they did a 20-mile swath of 20 miles. If I would think just like a canal, you're building. A waterway for a major, drainage area, a watershed. Yeah, I would think you would have to take into account the curvature, but I know they don't. Just like the guy that commented here, we never do. So take it for what it's worth. I mean, they wouldn't be a slam dunk, but they would sure push the
help it out. Sure. I mean, the next best.
Compelling.
I mean, honestly, what's the difference between them and someone who builds a canal?
My point exactly. The canal may be like Suez is. They don't even have any locks or steps through it. That's just dead flat all the way across.
Right.
But the river channel would have to have grade and flow. Instead of still water. Yeah. And that's another point that I'm going to get to later if we have time.
Oh yeah, we definitely have time. We've got 5 minutes to the first break. What else you want to talk about in 5 minutes before we?
All right, if I may.
Yeah.
2 years ago, when I'd never done anything like that before, participated and been interviewed, especially on a topic this taboo.
Mm-hmm.
But afterwards, I paid attention to the internet and YouTube, and I watched the comments come in, and there was a lot of negativity, and for a wide variety of reasons. But two stood out, and I was hoping to clear those up. I mean, two of the most popular complaints of me was that you referred to me as Ray, and if that's my fault because I should have listened to your other subject matter expert interviews, and I didn't, and I just assumed when you said Ray, I assumed that was your protocol, and out of respect, I just went with it.
Yeah.
But people said, if this guy would have been if this guy was credible, he would have given his full name. He wouldn't just, be, animosity, or
written. Those comments, of course, written by people who don't use their real names. But go on.
Perhaps. But let me just say, my name is Ray Goodwin. I'm 55 years old. I live in Kansas City, Missouri. I worked 27 and a half years for the USDA. and I'm going to tell the truth today, like every day, and let the chips fall. And if there's repercussions that come from it, I'll accept them. I don't give a damn. And the other complaint that people expressed, the most popular complaint, was when I gave my education. I said I attended Central Missouri State University in Warrensburg, and I said I received my Bachelor of Science degree in 3 1/3 years, and they were like, "Oh, look at that, 3 1/3 years." Look, numerology.
33.
He's a Freemason.
Yeah, Freemason.
No.
Yeah.
And look it up. Between 1981 to 1984, Central Missouri State University was unique, operating on a trimester system, three-month trimesters instead of the norm 4 and a half semesters. By the time my brother attended, 8 or 9 years later, that school, they had adopted the semester system. But when I went, it was a trimester system, and it was a unique school. I mean, each trimester, whether you took 8 hours or 12 hours, the tuition was the same. And if you maintain above a 3.0 GPA, which I did, they would even let you take as many as 15 hours per trimester for the same price as the person who's taking 8 hours, credit hours. Right. And loading up on hours, and because I had to do an internship with the USDA, is how I achieved my degree in 3 1/3 years. It has nothing to do with numerology. I wouldn't know a Freemason if one bit me on the ass. I was GDI. I didn't even pledge for a fraternity, so I'm not a member of any secret society.
Got it.
And I wanted to clear that up too.
No, it's good. I'm glad. And if anybody, I can vouch for the guy. Look, I have not had a guest who was on with me 2 years ago and then came back. So, glad that
start a trend, because you've had some very
anyone that used to be my guest, I'd love you have back on just to see what happened. In this case, look, 2 years ago, he said, "Hey, I don't think the Earth is a globe anymore," and I was a guy that measured the Earth. And 2 years later, it sounds like you're flatter than ever.
Yeah, I am. I sure am.
That's nice.
I sit back since then, and I watched the flat Earth community, the people that are high profile, those that do the information dissemination and educate the public, like yourself. You were my first influence, in Patricia and Skiba and Jaron and Marble, and all of them, Thrive and Survive. All you guys, you are undervalued, and
we're getting there, and thank you for that. But we're getting there. Again, it's amazing what we have accomplished in just 3 years. I was looking it up this morning. Again, you look up NASA, just type in NASA into YouTube and search by upload date. They come in, I think, at 9 million. As of this morning, we're coming in at 20 and a half, something like that. Yeah, we're huge. Wow,
I had no idea.
Oh,
I
yeah.
know, I've heard you mention that, when you type in flat, it comes up flat Earth, their algorithm.
Yeah.
They're not trying to hide it from anybody. I mean,
no.
I have watched very, very informative, very good documentaries just completely, disappear, never to be heard from again. Yeah. I should have downloaded them and kept them, but I didn't. But I know that censorship, for some reason, they're willing to, so far. But I can tell you this from personal experience: there are still a lot of paid.
Wait! Hold that thought. We are going to music. We're going to the first break, so hold on to that thought. We'll pick it up when we get back. Okay?
All right.
Yep. 3 minutes. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
No hate, no hype, no fear. We are TFR Frequency Radio.
Welcome back to Strange World, part 2 of 4. It is subject matter expert night, and we have on with us Ray Goodwin from Missouri. 27 years. USDA.
27 years, yes.
Yeah, surveyor. That's fantastic. So where we left off was...
We were comparing NASA 9 million to Flat Earth.
Oh yeah, 20. Oh yeah, pushing 21 million. Probably 21 million by the summer. So.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I think you were saying we've gotten really token resistance when it comes to that, and that should. Some people are like, are they setting us up? Is it a trap? The whole Star Wars thing. It's a trap. It might well be a trap, but I think Flat Earth is also the framework for a bigger picture. Meaning it is literally the frame to where the canvas, we don't know what's on it yet, but you have to introduce it first. And we've been running more or less unopposed for the last 3 years. I mean, yeah, they take a few shots here and there, but the mainstream media has really been running with it. And the algorithms and the stats have been going through the freaking roof. I mean, President Trump, who is a pretty talked about president. Let's face it, the man is polarizing. He's coming in at just about 21.5. So we're within a golf shot of him right now.
Wow.
I know.
That says something there. That's a comparison.
Yeah.
You mentioned NASA. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
When you brought up NASA, it triggered a thought of mine, and this probably sound petty, but hell, don't sweat the petty stuff and don't pet the sweaty stuff. Where I'm from, and people that, and I've seen it on TV as well. There is this phrase, this common phrase that if you're having a conversation, the dialogue is about something that is elementary or simple. So many of us will say, to emphasize that, they'll say, well, this isn't rocket science. Have you ever heard that phrase?
Oh, absolutely. That or brain surgery.
Well, that's a good alternative. The more I think of it, and I personally make an effort not to emphasize how simple something is by saying this isn't rocket science, because frankly, I don't think NASA deserves the reference or the compliment. Right. I don't think they're worthy of it, knowing how much they lie and fake shit that's been exposed on the internet. I don't think they're worthy. And I would make a ploy to your listeners to consider saying something else, and saying this isn't brain surgery. That's a good alternative.
Yeah. But you're absolutely right. The whole rocket science thing.
I mean, that's a reference of compliment, isn't it?
Yeah. In fact, it's funny. Every time I hear that saying now, I immediately think of Werner von Braun. Because he's considered the father of NASA, the rocket scientist. When people say, he's some sort of rocket scientist, that's the guy. That's the original reference is Werner von Braun, and yet he was a guy that from the grave. I don't even know if you remember seeing this over the last couple of years on his headstone, and it's a very modest headstone, which just shows the year he was born, the year he dies, and then it says Psalms 19:1. And I'm going, what the heck? Why would he, and I look it up, and it's a very small thing that says, and the firmament shows his handiwork. Why would the father of rocket science be talking about some sort of domed structure? Why? Yeah, it's like.
Because he probably knew about it.
Yeah, he probably knew about it. He's like, that's his little shot as he's leaving. A little thing in his headstone.
Classy shot. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I hope to leave half as important a message somehow as some sort of legacy. But no, I'm aware of that and what it means. I'm no Bible. I'm not a scholar.
Right.
But yeah, right. That's what you think of when you think of when it's not rocket science. You that triggers Werner von Braun.
Yeah, it does. I've always, and I thought that even before Flat Earth, because you always saw him walking around. He was shown with a whole bunch of different presidents. He was really what Elon Musk wanted to be. Werner von Braun was the real deal. He was the engineer. He was the visionary. He was the, plus he had that dark past. It's like, oh yeah, by the way, he also worked on the V2 and the V1s, and helped build the Nazi, the high-tech war machine. And so a brain like that, and people say, why didn't they kill him? Why wasn't he tried for war crimes? It's like, are you kidding? Do you know how much money that man was worth in intellectual property? You don't kill guys like that. They saved all the nerds, all of them. The Russians, the Americans, they split them up. I don't think they split them right down the middle, but we got a whole bunch and they got a whole bunch, and then the weapons programs advance from there. But fascinating. So
without that, his value, his intelligence and aptitude, even with that, didn't he say at one point, or told someone that man reaching the moon, it would take 3 modern.
Yeah, it was fascinating where he said that, and that was one of those early things. It was sort of like Van Allen, when Van Allen said, oh yeah, by the way, it's a really, really bad bunch of radiation up there. No one should go through it. Werner von Braun was the same way, where he was going, oh yeah, the moon, good luck. You'd need three rockets the size of the Titanic, basically the size of cruise liners. You need 3 of them, and all working together. And you'd have to sacrifice like 2 of them just to get there. It'd be like this tandem thing. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, by the way, you're going to make a shot at this. And he's like, oh, okay, well, we can just do it with 1 rocket then. It's like, what? What are you talking about? You just changed your entire thing. And that's the same thing that Van Allen did. Van Allen said, oh yeah, the belts are super dangerous. You can't go through them. And then when they said, oh yeah, by the way, you're going to try to go through them, he's going, oh, okay, just go real fast then. That was his answer. It's like, oh, come on. Go ahead.
Another thing, the person that comes to mind, and I feel for him because I've seen him on a couple of programs. They don't give him a lot of time, but I think of Bill Casing. Bill Casing, who worked at Rocketdyne, and he's alone, living with a bunch of cats out in the middle of the desert. But he's the one that said, "I work for Rocketdyne, and there's no way in hell man made it to the moon." I mean,
right.
That was an unpopular thing to say, and society abandoned him. Wife probably left, and now here. I mean, that takes courage to maintain what you know is true and right, and to disseminate that knowledge to the public, and look what you get for it.
Yeah.
You get abandoned and alienated.
Yeah, you did then. I mean, nowadays, for whatever reason, this last few years, it seems to be the opposite, where mainstream media is really, out of all the interviews I've done, people that have interviewed me, most of them have been pretty nice. They've been softballing a lot of it, mostly because the topic is so foreign to them, so alien.
Right.
They don't know how to attack it. It's like, oh yeah, they could say initially well, NASA and gravity and whatever else they want to use, but ships going on the horizon, that crap. But at the same time, I go in with the utmost conviction, and that's usually what puts them on their heels. Like, no, I absolutely believe this. In fact, I try to stress to people that nobody in Flat Earth thought that Flat Earth was a great idea going in. I mean, yeah, you caught it quicker than most people, but your average Flat Earth member went in hating it, trying to debunk it. But my conviction is now, I don't even know if did I tell you that, like, Clue 13, which I'm going to release here. Again, I've got all the text written out. I just have to do the voice and the pictures and tie it all together. But I'm definitely do it before I go down to the debunker test down in the California desert here next month. But my new thing, because people have said, well, what's your conviction? What's it worth? And I go, would you go up in a rocket? And I go, yeah, of course I go up in a rocket. But no one's going to, realistically, that's never going to happen. Nobody's going to put me up in a rocket. That costs a ton of money. You'd have to go through all these approval processes. Plus, no one gets to go up in rockets. So I thought of something more simple, which was just give me an astronaut suit, a full-blown, self-contained, not any of that tethered G-force suit crap, like the Apollo, or nothing. It's not hooked up to anything, and put me in a vacuum chamber and pull the lever. Because I still, and this was one of those things that I missed. I mean, yeah, I'm a creative problem solver, but sometimes I overlook things, that I didn't see right away. And this was one of those that slipped by me because I kept focusing on the space shuttle and the ISS and Apollo. And all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute, the spacesuit. The spacesuit, and I have to give credit to the subject matter experts, the industrial vacuum guy and then the industrial valves and seals guy, because they were basically saying the same thing. So look, the power of a vacuum is no joke. It is brutal. It is vicious. It is instant, and it will kill people dead. And it's absolute. I mean, you're talking about an area with something in it versus an area with nothing in it. Although to the human eye, you can't tell the difference. Only a spectrometer can tell you that that's the case. And so I was going, okay, a spacesuit. What does it do for you, for example? And I thought, okay, well, it heats you, it cools you, it gives you oxygen, it regulates humidity, and it's a communications device. That's easy. All that stuff. That's easy. You can do that in a high-end scuba suit, right? Which is really what we're talking about here, because all the astronauts, they train in swimming pools.
Yep.
But a vacuum chamber.
I almost drowned with his helmet filled up with water.
Yeah, exactly. But a vacuum chamber, that's completely different, because there's nothing in that magic backpack on the back of an astronaut's suit that can counteract the force of a vacuum. And you're trying to figure out what I'm talking about. I'm saying, look it up. Go look this up online if you get a chance. A bag of air cannot survive in a vacuum chamber. It can't. It blows up really tight, and eventually it bursts. So why aren't the astronaut suits going tight as a snare drum from the air that's inside the arms and legs and torso? Because it's not skin tight.
Like the Michelin Man, right?
Exactly. It would look just like the Michelin Man, but it would be so rigid you wouldn't be able to bend anything. I mean, you'd might as well be in a suit of wood, because you wouldn't be able to use your arms, your legs, your feet. You wouldn't be able to move anything. And you say, well, they were kind of stiff on the moon. And I go, no. Stiff is one thing. We're talking about like concrete. You would not have the physical capability of moving this suit in any way, shape, or form. And then somebody sent a thing to me. It goes, you know what? He goes, I could swear I have never seen a video of an astronaut in a vacuum chamber. I go, wait. Even in training. And full well, you're old enough to know. It's like, look, we product test the hell out of everything. If I'm going up into the ISS, assuming it's real, I'm absolutely going to test that thing down here. Even cars are tested for thousands of hours before they give it to the general public, with the exception maybe the Suzuki Samurai, which we don't want to get into. But
when I went to Hawaii, those things were popular over there. It's the first time I ever saw one.
Yeah, until they started tipping over.
Yeah.
It's like, turns out look at that, the center of gravity was way too high. But the astronaut suit is way too, it cannot survive a vacuum chamber. It cannot do it. And there's no movies of any astronaut in a vacuum chamber. That's my linchpin. That's what I'm going after now. So if I confront an astronaut, that's my challenge. It's like, give me an astronaut suit, put me in a vacuum chamber, pull the lever, because you can test a vacuum very easily. Balloons will blow up, water boils at room temperature, and and there's no sound. You just bring a bell in and you wouldn't have any sound in a vacuum chamber. So why don't we have, out of the 500 astronauts that supposedly have existed over time, why don't we have any footage of, at least especially with the modern ones, Tim Peake, Terry Vert, Scott Kelly.
Yeah, of them preparing and training to survive in a vacuum.
Exactly.
I saw a thing, a guy, I don't remember his name, but he was an older gentleman like Bill Casey was. He was on some program where he had, I think he used maybe a blower, like you blow the grass off your driveway. He somehow took a blower and then a jar and used the power of the blower to create a vacuum in the jar, and then he had a glove. And, he could put his hand in the glove. I don't know if you saw that. But
I did.
As soon as he made it back, did you see that? Yeah. He could even, the glove, just Michelin Man glove.
Oh, yeah.
He couldn't do anything. He couldn't touch two fingers together. He couldn't operate a camera that's hanging on his chest. He couldn't do any of that shit.
No. You might as well have been using oven mitts at that point.
You're right. Or worse than that. Yeah. I'd take an oven mitt over what I saw in that. and you're right.
Yeah, and yet these guys are supposedly hanging around the ISS doing complex electronics, hooking up all sorts of fun things, and it doesn't occur to anybody because the average person on the street doesn't know. And I'm not picking on anyone out there. They are not taught basic physics, which is, look, it's like, water boils at a certain, but even the average American doesn't know that, like when you go to like high altitude, you have to change your recipes because water boils at a lower temperature. And the vacuum chambers are almost never touched. It's never, so they glossed it over and it's perfect. And people are going, okay, why you keep going on about the vacuum chamber thing? Here's why. Because if the suits don't work, right, this is kind of like, if the gloves don't fit, you must quit. If the suits don't work, that means any piece of footage that you saw with a suit in it is fraudulent, is a lie from beginning to end, because and there's that's all of Apollo, that's all the space shuttle exterior, that's all the ISS, all of it. It's all gone. It's all a piece of crap because the suit doesn't work. It can't. There is no suit that can stop the power of a vacuum, which is why in the beginning of the show, I know I'm beating this down a little bit. The beginning of the show, I show that German rail car, that steel rail car, where they applied a vacuum to the inside of it, and the thing just crushed instantly. In a fraction of a second, it crushed, and that was steel. So tell me how the ISS is working.
Got that car up in space, but it can somehow survive the vacuum up there, right?
Yeah. Because really, the ISS is no different structure-wise than a modern aircraft, modern jetliner. It's plastic and aluminum. That's all it is. It's not like they were putting up steel beams up there. So how are they pulling that off? Anyway, so
I know that. And I've said this. At this point, what I've seen in the hoaxes that's been pulled on the American people, yeah. I'd rather have a sister who worked in a cat house than a brother who worked for NASA.
Wow, that's quotable. That's good. Somebody get a T-shirt on that. That's awesome. So let me ask you, because we have 10 minutes to the second break,
yep.
And we will. Are you up for taking a few calls after this break?
Well, I had some proofs that I would be.
Oh no, let's go over proofs. Let's talk about them, and we'll take calls after you're done with your proofs. I'll give you tons of time.
Okay. Well.
What do you got?
All right. The first, as you know, Jesse Kozlowski is the only geodetic survey that's come around that I know of. Actually, there's one more, Red Pill World. I've addressed both of them, but I'm not sure you were aware of this. After our initial interview back in April of 2016, Jesse Kozlowski made a 35-minute video immediately afterwards. What the subject was our interview, you and I.
Right. I do remember this. He was notably upset.
He was notably upset, and he didn't call. He did everything but call me a liar, and he couldn't call me a liar because I wasn't. But he discredited me and said disparaging things. He even used an analogy to compare my expertise and skill in surveying as if we were both cooks. If when it comes to surveying skills and abilities and knowledge and intelligence, he said if Ray Goodwin or Ray and I were both cooks, Ray Goodwin would be a short order fry cook, and I would be a master chef on staff in the White House or hired to
wow, that is
for the aristocrats.
That's so arrogant. Oh, that's aggravating.
So that's. I know you got a break coming up, but
no, we got time.
Since then, he does nothing pretty much, but continue to upload. I tell him he's polluting the internet with his bullshit is what I tell him. But he continues to put forward intuitive, educational, global things to support anybody that watches this. It is supportive of the globe. It's disparaging of flat Earth, and when I comment on his I've been blocked before. When I get close to exposing him, I get blocked. But he'll call me idiot, moron, lunatic. Most recent was lunatic, and I say, okay, I'm a lunatic. Can you tell me what makes me? Can you give me the what or the why? No. I mean, well, hell, why don't you just call me a serial killer if you don't have to back up your claim or support in any way? Right. I mean, if I call him a jerk or a chicken shit, or if the skirt fits, wear it. I tell him why and what made me say that, what he did and what provoked me. I mean, I'm not above calling people names, but at least I tell them why they're what. I mean,
right.
And I don't even rate that much. Well, not too long ago, this guy traveled from New Jersey, where he lives, south across the country to southern Louisiana, and did a video with his assistant, who I'll tell you, you'll be surprised who that is if it is who he claims it was. And with an assistant, all these production costs and the expense of traveling and all these elaborate lanterns and time and effort, he recreated the Bedford level experiment that Mr. Robotham did back in 18 shit, whatever. Were you aware of that? He got on the
No, I didn't really pay that much attention to him after his initial rant. But go ahead.
Okay. Well, he drove across the country with your surveyor that you interviewed from Indiana.
Yeah.
That was his assistant. I don't know what happened there. You'll never see me jump ship like that, but those two men went on the Little Tensa Bayou and right next to the Gulf of Mexico, and they claimed to recreate the Bedford level experiment to prove that Robotham was false, and to prove the Earth is a globe. They set up these lanterns every mile or whatever, any bridge that crossed the bayou. He took painstaking time to prove, and I'm satisfied. Each lantern was precisely the same height above the surface of the water. And when he waited for nightfall, they lit up the lanterns, and even though I've seen 12.5 of his videos. I've never seen him show the bubble on his theodolite. But when night fell, they lit up the lanterns, and he says he films what you would see through his theodolite through the viewer, and the center crosshair, the horizontal crosshair, each one of these lanterns in progressive session continued to get lower. And he goes, "There you go, folks. The Earth is a globe. There is. I mean, each lantern falls progressively, successively, in succession as you proceed down the bayou." And then he framed it with "No flat earther will ever touch this." I mean, he emphasized, "No flat earther will ever touch this." Well, I didn't just touch it; I destroyed it in less than 24 hours. Because I sent him the documentation, the proof that some state Fish and Wildlife, they monitor Little Tensa Bayou. It has discharge. They monitor in cubic feet per second. It has flow. It has grade. The Bedford level experiment must be conducted on water that is impounded. It must be still water. And he deliberately, intentionally tried to deceive everybody. I mean, it's bad enough deceiving and lying to the public. He disrespected, disregarded Robotham. That's a pretty famous experiment. I mean, he just threw that right down the shitter, knowing that he is conducting this reenactment of Bedford level on a body of water that has discharge, measured discharge, flow, and grade. I provided all the 5 miles of USGS topography maps, the bank of the Little Tensa Bayou, over 6. It meandered, so 5 miles of topography maps probably means 6 miles of the bayou. It fell from 60 feet above sea level to down to 35. So in 6 miles, that's 25 feet. This thing fell a little over 4 feet per mile. It flows pretty damn strong. Of course, when you set up the instrument, each lantern is going to get lower because it's a river. It's flowing. The water's moving, and it's got grade. The same grade as your lanterns have, progressively getting lower. But he sold it as a dead level.
I see what he did.
Yeah, and I said, I'm this fry cook, and I don't have your expert. You're surveyor extraordinaire, but I just called you out. Do you know? I mean, imagine traveling across the country with an assistant, going to all these production expenses, and to do this, and then say nobody will ever touch this. The first person looked at it, destroyed it to the point he had no rebuttal. He couldn't even defend himself. I gave him. I mean, look, it's got discharge, cubic feet per second. It's monitored. It's measured. It's got. I mean, here's the flow. Here's the grade of it. And you tried to sell that as a impounded still water, and you would drove across the country. I mean. People had problems with me not giving my name and how I got received my degree in 3 1/3 years, and I felt compelled to set the record straight. I wanted to do that first off the bat. Here he drove across the country, did all this. Guy calls him out. That's his inferior, his subordinate as far as skill, and he has no rebuttal whatsoever, none. He did not defend. Did I go past the break?
No. Actually, you still have 90 seconds. If you want to drive the hammer down.
That alone. I mean, if you can't to go to all that time, trouble, expense. I mean, when I was working, when I was a surveyor, I didn't have time to drive across the country to download I mean, that's what he does. He's no different than Neil deGrasse Tyson. He's just on social media network. And when we return from the break, I do have a couple of proofs that I think are important enough to mention.
Oh, happy to do it. No, that's great. And for those of people who don't know exactly what we're talking about there, by the way, a little recap, we're with Ray Goodwin from the USDA. That was pretty much your career, right? 27 years?
27 and a half years, and I filed a complaint, and I retired 9 years early with full benefits, and I got a pretty lucrative 6-digit settlement.
Nice, that's excellent.
My voice will break up saying it because I hated, but I had no choice. They pushed me that far. Things were that bad.
That's all right. And we initially did the first interview with Ray back in April of 2016, and here we are, 2 years and 1 month later. And the world is still flat. So we're going to come back for the break. I'm going to get with the phone numbers real quickly, 213-233-3998 or 720-897-6111. It will be a call-in show, but we're not going to take calls until Ray has gotten his proofs out. And I know there's a couple people on hold, but hey, you're just going to have to wait. And I think one of them is a welder who just listens to the show. Oh, hey, there's music. So 3 minutes. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Censorship and regulation is becoming an ever-growing.
This is Truth Frequency Radio.
The wicked ones obviously under heavy Masonic influence.
Major Kong. Primary target, the ICBM complex at Laputa. Switch all receiver circuits to CRM discriminators.
What's cooking on the threat board? Nothing. Alright, tell you what you better do, old buddy. You better give Elmo and Charlie a flash, man. Bump everything up to condition written. Stand by the floor on the base.
Major Kong.
Major Kong.
Hey, what about Major Kong?
Clear and plain and coming through fine.
What about
It's great to be fine.
What about Major
What's
Kong?
happened? You see the string in my neck scar.
What about Major
I
Kong?
never told you.
Hey, what about Major Kong?
Welcome back to Strange World Part 3 of 4. It is Subject Matter Expert Night. And with us, we have USDA Surveyor Ray Goodwin. Are you still there, Ray?
I'm here.
Cool. He was in it for 27 years and was one of my early subject matter interviews back in April of 2016. And he's back 2 years later to add to his case. So what else you got?
Well, thank you. I'm gonna speak out to your listening audience, but especially the profession of land surveying across the board. If you're a surveyor, you were a surveyor. If you're one of the 400 USDA colleagues that I used to work with, any land surveyor across Earth. I mean, there is a global gatekeeper built into our profession. Any textbook subject, general text on this will reveal that. To quote text or manual, Land Survey Principles, Methodology, and Practice, quote, on smaller jobs, 250 square kilometers or less, global curvature is insignificant and can be ignored. Flat plane survey principles should be utilized. Now, I have seen at least six different publications by multiple sources and authorities publishing them. They're not all manuals, and some are just guidelines on a pamphlet. But this cutoff of 250 square kilometers is consistent. I've yet to find anything that says any different. So basically, you're to use flat plane survey principles up to 250 kilometers, and anything after that, you stop using flat plane. You start using Jesse Kozlowski geodetic survey principles. So on smaller jobs, let's see what that means. They intentionally use kilometers. 15 square root of 250 kilometers is 15.8 kilometers, or excuse me, 15.8 by 15.8 kilometers. Transferring that to United States unit of measurement, 15.8 kilometers is 9.8 miles. So we're talking about an area, 9.8 miles by 9.8 miles square. That is, and please check me on, I can tell you that's accurate, that is 6,272 acres in size. That is larger than any one single farm tract platted currently in the states of Missouri and Iowa. That's what they consider a small job. And in layman's terms, that equates to 4,743 contiguous connected football fields, including the end zones. Picture a football field, 4,743 of those. That is the cutoff from what is they considered a small job. And I appeal and make a challenge out. Find me one job. Find me one survey that's planned or ever been conducted in the history of mankind that's half that size. Find me a survey project that surveyed 3,150 acres. The wording on small jobs this size or smaller, when you equate to what that actually means, that's all of them. I mean, small farms, no, it's all of them. All of them that's ever been done, probably ever will be done. You are to use flat plane survey principles. Why? Because the goddamn earth is flat. That's why. So as I speak to my colleagues that's their profession, planes surveyors, yeah. I challenge you with this. And this would encompass in my career 75% of the surveys I conducted. You have a rod man, you set up your instrument, you set a benchmark, or you go off a USGS benchmark if you have to tie it to the elevation above sea level, and you begin your survey after you determine your height of instrument. 75% of the surveys I completed over 27 years, I would have to physically, it's called making a turn. I would have to at least physically pick up the instrument and physically relocate it at least once. Make at least one turn, which is very common because you can't always get every shot you need from one location. So you make a turn so you can get all the data you need, all the shots you need, so you can go back up, plot it out, and design it. 75% of my jobs, I had to at least make one turn. Sometimes I had to make 10, 12, 15 turns, but at 3 out of 4, at least one. And my question and my challenge out to the entire profession of land surveyors, when you make that turn, if you make one turn, if we are living on a globe and you're utilizing, as guidelines say consistently, flat plane survey principles, when you make that one turn, when you relocate your tripod and your instrument and recalculate, your foresight becomes a backside, you recalculate your HI. From that moment, I challenge you to tell me how you could ever come back and close your circuit and zero out, or close your circuit within tolerance. And the USDA, we weren't building international airports. We were building farm ponds and terraces. Our tolerance, we had to close within a tenth. And Jesse Keselowski says, "Oh, that's so pathetic. That's worse than fourth order accuracy." Okay, I'm a sloppy surveyor, which means Jesse and all the others that have more stringent. That even makes my challenge even greater. It supports any landowner, any professional land surveyor. Ask yourself, if you have to make one turn, physically move the instrument to get the shots that you need, just one, from that moment, how can you come back and close your circuit and zero out or close within tolerance? You cannot. Although closing your circuit is a basic, absolute, fundamental requirement, as signing your name on a college final exam. It's an absolute must. But if we are living on a globe and you make one turn, just one, tell me how you can close your circuit within tolerance, or you can't. You can't. Not even. I mean, if Jesse, a higher strength, I had to be within a tenth. A lot of guys within 10 100s. You make one turn, you're screwed. You can't close your circuit. If you can't close your circuit, your survey's invalid. Everything, cease and desist. Everything comes to a halt. Nothing would get done. Because according to the guidelines, and I've found 6 documents, 250 square kilometers is the cutoff. There's never been a survey that big in the history of mankind. So basically it means all of them. you are to use flat plane survey because the Earth is flat, and we do close out within tolerance. Sometimes we zero out on the money, but you have to close within tolerance, or your survey is invalid. It's worthless. If there's a mistake, go find it. Well, the mistake is using flat plane survey principles on a globe, and I challenge anybody in this profession to tell me how you can, when you make one turn. I think that could be a pretty solid proof. Your opinion on that?
Is fantastic. Absolutely. And I love your conviction for it. It sounds like you put quite a bit of thought into this.
I have, and it's because of you. It's because of the high-profile flat Earth leaders, because I listen to people, and somebody will have a novel thought, and it will trigger something or make me think of something in a way that I hadn't. It's always been there. I just didn't grasp it. And over the last 2 years, I think, I bow to Eric Dubay 200. I might have one or two, but that one is solid. I'm talking to the entire profession of land surveyors. And quote these, I have yet to find a guidance or a specific, instruction other than 250 square kilometers is the cutoff. Okay, the next one. Oh, by the way, when I get in an argument with a Glober, I have on several occasions when you get a big blowhard like R and Raw.
Right.
I've never spoke to him personally, but I would love to. I think I could. I have done my research. Currently, Myrtle Beach in South Carolina, East Coastal City, has the longest public beach in the United States. It's called Grand Strand. 60 contiguous miles of public beach at Myrtle Beach. I have challenged as many people to meet me there. Set a date to meet. We each bring one person. We each bring $100,000 cash. We rent 2 ATVs. We have 2 lightweight graphite or fiberglass survey rods, 1 calibrated, certified transit, and 1 video camera. We set a benchmark at elevation 2,500 to ensure that we're not dealing with negative numbers. And then we go leapfrogging, taking foresights and backsights right down the water line. At 4 shots per mile, we could cover 60 miles in 2 days, easy enough. At the end, it's either gonna drop 1,800 feet, you, meaning the challenge, whoever accepted my challenge, or the beach isn't going to deviate any more than high tide versus low tide, me. Winner take all. And I have yet to have anybody accept that challenge.
Wow.
And I've never been to Myrtle Beach in my life, never been there. But that's where the longest public beach in the United States is. It's called Grandstand, 60 contiguous miles of public beach. So it's not really a proof, but it's nobody is willing to take me up on that challenge, and that's a bona fide offer that I will honor.
Nice. That's fantastic. I didn't realize you. It sounds like you've been kind of simmering in the background ever since that first interview that we did.
I don't like being lied to, and I thank you. You're the one that made me see the light, and. But anyway, the big proof is, and the challenge that I just made to any land surveyor that profession, or you're associated with in construction. Yeah, tell me if you move your instrument one time. Tell me how you're going to close out and zero out and close on the money, or even within tolerance, which is an absolute must requirement.
Yeah.
Okay, and let's see. Oh shit.
What else did you have?
I'm trying.
That's okay. While you're looking, I'll give out the phone number again.
Okay, sure.
Number to call in is 213-233-3998 or 720-897-6111. Or if you're in the UK, whatever number you have to dial to America, and then 44203-393-2871. And if you just want to call in and listen without me picking you up, and you know who you are, it is 641-793-7117. We're still on with Ray, career surveyor for the USDA. And
one more.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, I was done. Totally.
Okay. The final proof that I think is compelling and legitimate is the thousands of USGS monument benchmarks that have been set anywhere from the 40s on up. The town I worked the most years in was Gallatin, Missouri, in northwest Missouri. Outside of town, there is a USGS benchmark, unless I know I'm within 50 feet, but I think this is verbatim correct. It says, quote, USGS, U.S. Geological Survey, set in 1951, certified 728 feet above sea level. So that's approximately 1/7 of a mile, a little over half the length of a drag strip. That's how high that point in northwest Missouri is. About approximately 1/7 of a mile higher than the sea, 700 miles from any sea. And if you plot those 2 points up to scale on some draft paper, or I don't think you'll see how that fits your globe. The thing about it is these USGS benchmarks, for us to be living on a globe in the 40s and 50s with only pencil and paper, longhand trigonometry, metal file cabinets, wooden 12-foot rods, dumpy manual levels and wooden tripods, and party landlines. For this to be a globe, they would have had to set all these benchmarks and extrapolate the ocean's curvature as if it were beneath their feet, standing on the continent of North America, to set all these. I believe that they are set and tied to the beach. I believe the beach is the same elevation all the way around every continent and island nation, and that's their benchmark where they set these USGS monuments. And a good proof, you could do this. When I needed to tie something to sea level, the farmers, they knew their land. I understand they had all these benchmarks in each county at the records office, but shit, we just asked the farmer and he'd take us right. He knew where they were. If we needed to use one and tie it to sea level, that the job required that. But if you go to the records office and you find you would want two of them fairly close together on moderately hilly land to make sure that there's no freak correlation. But all you'd have to do is find two of these and then just conduct a grade level survey in between them and see if if this one's 728 feet above sea level and 3 miles over, or 2 miles over, it's 745 feet above sea level, and you start on 728 and you carry your elevation all the way across and you end on 7, whatever I said the second one was, there's your proof of a flat earth, because that would, if you could tie two of them together and they zero out, that means all of them are tied to the ocean at the beach, not extrapolating what the sea would beneath their feet. They started at any shoreline and they carried their elevation up and arbitrarily set thousands of these all over North America. But the only way that we're living on a globe is if it has been extrapolated, like I said, with just pencil, paper, and just Spartan tools compared to what is available now. And I still don't think we could do it now. But I believe they're tied to the beach, and the beach is the same elevation. And people need to understand that the globe Earth people, they say, on a globe, wherever you're at, you imagine yourself, from your perspective, you are standing on the very tip top of the ball. And if the Earth was a globe, I would agree with that until a second point of interest came about. If you're standing there and you want to go somewhere, if you're a good example would be if you're in Seattle, and yes, if standing right where you're at in Seattle, you would be standing on the very tip top of the ball. But if you wanted to walk down the coastline to San Diego, then Seattle to San Diego, now you have 2 points of reference. You would have to, the proper way to do it is to roll that ball to where the absolute halfway point between those two cities, which is Fort Bragg, that would be the top of your ball, or the apex of your curve. And if you walk down the West Coast line from Seattle to San Diego on a globe of academies, I can't speak, given size and shape, 24,900 some miles in circumference, you would have to ascend. 97, excuse me. You would have, from San Diego, you would have to ascend on the beach 97 miles up to the halfway point, Fort Bragg, Keep in mind the planes only cruise around 6 miles up. Fort Bragg to halfway, and then descend 97 miles from Fort Bragg to San Diego. That's what kind of curvature we're talking about. And I don't think that the general public realizes that, but that would have to be true if we are indeed living on the globe.
Wow.
So, and that, I'll shut up with that. I've probably said too much.
No, not at all. No, I encourage this sort of rant. I love it. That's fantastic. I love that you're really passionate about it, and I love it. Again, 2 years later, what I've been telling you guys. They're not recanting. You know?
No, we're not.
It's in fact, Flat Earth has a 99% retention rate. I challenge anyone to test that number for yourself. Find someone that went flat. Now, yeah, of course, there's Flat Earth people that aren't as enthusiastic as they used to be, but nobody's gone back to the globe. It is really like a Matrix thing. Once you're out, you're out. And like, well, yeah, I'm not. People will be like, I'm not really into it anymore. But they're still not, hugging the globe on a regular basis. All right, well, let's do this. We still have 7.5 minutes until the final break. Let's see if there's anybody on the phone line. And by the way, you guys can call in 720-897-6111 or 213-233-3998. Let's pick up, I don't know if we can pick up Ohio. I think that's one of the people that calls in and just listens. But let's find out. Let's see if he's there. All right, 419 area code. You're finally on with Strange World and a USDA surveyor. Are you around, or are you just working and listening?
No, I'm listening, and I'm looking and listening.
All right. Did you want to say anything, or are you just listening?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Hey, when you say a USDA surveyor, did you go to Fort Belvoir?
Did I go to where?
Fort Belvoir in Virginia.
No, I did not.
Fort Belvoir, Virginia. Why? What is Fort Belvoir, Virginia?
Because that's where the National Geospatial training place is. Because when I was in the service, I was a 21 uniform, and pretty much it was a map maker. You know what I mean? So we got a lot of. I was always told that we got a lot of imagery from satellites and stuff. So I was just asking.
All right.
That's fine, but no, I did not go there.
Okay. Do you want me to put you back? Go ahead.
Yeah, if you can. Hey, I just want to say great videos you do, Mark, and shout out to Toledo, Ohio.
Thanks, man. All right, I'll put you back on mute. There we go.
All
right. Let's pick up, what is that, 815 area code? Boy, I should really blow this screen up. Yeah, that's what I'll do. Yeah, there we go, 815. So let's pick up these guys. 815, you're on with Strange World right now. What's on your mind?
Hey, you there?
I am here.
Oh, okay. Sorry, Mark. I know I didn't know you had a guy on tonight, but I've been trying to get a hold of you. I sent a picture to the email. It's Dave Schmidt, my name. I don't know if you got it or not, but I was in at the sand dunes in Indiana shoreline, 40-something miles away from Chicago. It took a perfect. My wife took it with her phone. I sent you a picture, and I go around telling everybody, this is the, you see the thing, this, that, and the other. I said, come on, people, how do I see it with my bare eye and then take it with my camera? So actually, last week I was down at the same place. I went to their visitor center. It was actually hilarious because one of the rangers took the exact same picture I did with his camera and put it on a postcard. And I walked up to the lady in the visitor center. That was still a lady behind the cash register. I said, this is impossible. She's like, what are you talking about? I said, this picture's impossible. And I started explaining to her. She said, I'm not going to sleep for a week now. You just opened my mind to a whole lot of things I didn't know. And she was like 70 years old, I was like, oh my gosh, But I've been doing it. I went and got the laser beam thing for the temperature. I'm going to do it this when the moon's only 3/4 right now, but I'm going to go up to Minnesota this weekend. They got a mud bog going on. So I'm going to go up there with the mud boggers and show all these guys, hey, look at this, man. I bet you the temperature's going to be freezing cold. You know what I mean? Colder than and it's what you guys claimed. I haven't done it yet, but I got the laser, so I'm going to try that this weekend.
It's absolutely real, man. I've done it myself. I got a little laser pointer here right in my drawer, and absolutely works. And again, I was one of those guys that made fun of it when I first heard it back at the end of 2015. I was like, yeah, whatever. There's no way. No way. And so darned, and then Rob Skiba did his tests, and Jeffrey Grupp did his tests, and some other guys in England did their tests, and yeah, and I did mine outside. I didn't film it, but yeah, it's absolutely real.
Yeah, if you ever get a chance to see that picture, though, you can put it on your online thing. I'm not really on the online stuff.
Okay,
so
I'm a little.
When
did you send it? Because I'm a little behind in my emails.
A couple of weeks ago. That's fine. No rush. I'll just say if it comes about, throw it on there. I don't care.
Okay.
And the thing that kills me is these people out there. You show them proof. God has proof. Look at this. I did this myself, and they still deny it. It's like, come on, people, wake up. And I don't get it. But there are people that are changing. And I'm going to tell you something, though. Between like a 21 and 25-year-old kids, they're starting to suck it up. They're like, wow, that's pretty wild.
Yeah.
And then you show them the proof, and it's like their mind hasn't hit that point where we are. I'm like 44 years old now. So you're kind of like, but the weird thing is that I'm an open guy. I consider myself a unique person. I take in a whole lot of stuff from different people because you don't know it's really real.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah,
Some
absolutely.
People, so.
Yeah.
I won't rant on. I'm a truck driver. I haul cars for a living. I'm actually in Illinois. I'm heading up to Chicago to load up some Chevys and take them out to Iowa.
Nice. Well, enjoy.
So you enjoy your night.
All right, you too, man. You have a good one.
Oh, yeah. All right, have fun.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. We're not going to pick up the call. We're not going to pick up New York yet until the break because we're going to break here in about 2 minutes. Just wanted to recap that this is a subject matter expert show, and we're talking with Ray Goodwin from Missouri. He was a USDA surveyor for 27 years, shot a lot of stuff. And what you were saying as we're going into break, I noticed right away. I learned more about surveying since I got into flat Earth than I ever had in my entire life, and that is 90-something% of the surveyors out there are planar. And by that, I mean PLANAR, which means you're working with projects that are on a plane. And the definition that you read, all the projects that are under, 6,000 acres are considered
6,772 acres. And I would say that 95 is closer to 99.9. Jesse Kozlowski has never, with all his extraordinary skill and ability, intelligence, I've never seen him. I've seen 12.5 of his videos. I've never seen him show the bubble in the middle. If I was going to do what he was trying to do and demonstrate, prove something, I would show the setup. I would put the bubble in the middle, and then I'd take the transit and spin it like a top. And when it came to a stop, I'd show the bubble again just to prove that you are dead to the nuts level. Before I ever did anything, he's failed to do that even once in his videos. It's gadgetry and to conceal and distract so he can pull off his magic act.
Yeah, I agree. And again, he's a geodetic surveyor, which is in the.
I've yet to see one thing, one construct, anything positive or progressive that his survey it resulted in something getting some improvement, some construct, something getting built. Not one.
Right. I hear you. All right. And on that note, we are going to music here in about 10 seconds. Anyone wants to call in? We got a couple on hold. We got New York. We got California. We got Minnesota waiting. 720-897-6111 or 213-233-3998. There's the music.
It seems to me so strange. Check wallet for his name. His face is in the muck. I think his zipper's stuck.
You're listening to the Truth Frequency Radio Network.
No hate, no hype, no fear.
Welcome back to Strange World, part 4 of 4. And yeah, that was Joe Jackson stepping out from his album Night and Day. So, where are we going with this? I'm sorry, I'm looking at the call board. And yeah, this is a call-in show. We are talking with Ray Goodwin, USDA surveyor of 27 years. Are you still there, Ray?
I'm here, yes.
Cool. All right, let's jump right back on the phone lines. Let's do 845 area code. 845, are you there? You're on with Strange World right now.
Hello, Mark, Ray. It's Mark from New York. How you doing this evening?
I'm sorry, are you a first-time caller? I don't recognize the voice.
Yes. First-time caller, first-time listener.
First-time listener. Good to hear from you.
Yeah.
Mark.
Oh, man, how you guys doing this evening?
Just doing well.
I had a question for Ray, actually, about have you done anything along the coast, any surveying along the coast of the where you might be near the ocean? Because I have a big thing about the ocean.
I've made a challenge for anybody to accept, but no, not. I worked my whole career in Missouri. I worked in 6 or 7 different offices within the state. Northwest, Central. But why? What? If I had, what would you have asked?
Well, I think that the ocean. I think that's our big proof, because there's no bendy water. I mean. We can show that it's level along the coast. I mean, how can you dispute it? If we have 100 miles of level, well, the water's right there, and that's level too. Yeah. And it's just been bugging me. I want somebody to do something with the ocean.
That's why I present this challenge to many people. I've never been accepted, and I'm putting my money where my mouth is, and it's at a place that I've never been to Myrtle Beach. But Myrtle Beach has the longest public beach in the United States, 60 contiguous miles. You could, if public beach is free for all, you could certainly run a simple grid level survey right down the water line, and in 60 miles you could definitely determine well before 60 the answer to this big mystery that I'm not sure everybody's ready to hear. But that's a very I forget you're from New York. I forget your name, sir. But that is the
Mark.
That is the proper place. Mark, yes, you're thinking right. The coastline on any beach would be the place to settle this once and for all.
Well, and it's ironic you say Myrtle, because that's where I was when I first heard Mark's clues, and immediately the next morning was down at the shore looking.
Okay, if you were at Myrtle, have you heard of this beach? It's called Grand Strand, or that's what I looked up, the longest beach in the United States. And in Myrtle Beach, there's the longest public beach. It's called Grand Strand. Does that ring a bell? Grand Strand.
It sounds familiar. I don't know if that's where we were. We were Myrtle Beach. It was 800 South Ocean Boulevard, and all I know is that when I went out to the beach, I could look up past the what do you call it, where they fish off the pier, and I could easily see 10 miles. Yes, I could easily see 15 miles north and easily another 15, 20 miles south, and just standing there looking, I couldn't see anything. I couldn't see any kind of curve. Okay, yes, ballers are going to say, oh, well, you wouldn't see it, but according to the math, I should have seen something, and I'd see nothing. It's flat.
Well, that's what mainstream media and these disinformants do. I've seen Neil deGrasse Tyson repeatedly say, well, you're so small and insignificant. There's no way you could ever see the curve, and 30 minutes later, Bill Nye, the science guy, will come on. How do we know the Earth's a ball? Because you can see ships with the naked eye going over the curve, disappearing from the bottom up. Well, which is it? Are we so small we can't curve,
right,
or is it easy to see with the naked eye? But when you said you could see 10 miles, sir, Mark, were you standing down on the shore? Were you right on the shore?
right at the edge of the water. Right at the edge of the water.
At 8 inches per mile square, academia is given shape and size. You should not be able to see any further. I don't know how tall you are, but let's say you're 6 foot or thereabouts, whatever. If you're
I'm 6 foot.
Okay, perfect. You shouldn't be able to see more than 6 feet. 3 feet to the hump and 3 feet past. And that would be somebody your height on the other side of that hump. that right, Mark?
Well, more or less. Yeah. I
know there's atmospheric refraction.
Yeah, he's not going to see 10 miles technically if it is a curved. Yeah.
Correct. Good point. That's a good observation.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm just riding your guys' coattails, man. You guys give me information. I go out and I look, and I try to corroborate it. And so far, I can't find any curvature. It's not there.
Me either, pal.
Nice.
Thanks for calling.
Not there.
Hey, before Mark, before you go,
yes.
A quick quote, of course, from the Peanut Gallery. It goes a little something like this. I'll have to say it in sort of a medieval tone, like a dilly-dilly type of thing. Be a craftsman in speech that thou mayest be strong, for the strength of one is the tongue, and speech is mightier than all fighting. That was from Maxims of Pataotep. I have no idea where he came up with this one. That one.
That's easy for you to say.
Yeah, exactly. Why that's for you, I don't know, but there you go. So dilly.
All righty, awesome. Hey, real quick, I was just going to mention I saw the new Deadpool, and I can't remember the scene, but they were even making reference to space and stuff in that movie too. I mean, it's everywhere. It's everywhere.
Oh well.
I know. And actually, I have a quick quote for Ray.
Sure.
I just want to say, old surveyors never die. They just seek new horizons.
That's great. That's great. That's better than Hillary Rodman Clinton. That's appealing and that's inspiring. Thank you.
Good.
Oh, thank you, man. Thank you. It's amazing, and like you said, after 2 years, you haven't changed your story. You haven't backed out on it. You're still here with us, looking and searching. I think that's amazing. Awesome. Thank you. And thank you, Mark. Great show. Yeah. You guys are awesome. Keep it up. I love yous.
All right,
shout out to everybody out there in the chats. They're the best. This is a great group of people, man. It really is.
I agree.
Thank you.
Agree. Have a good one, man. See ya.
All righty. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right. Let's jump right to it. I think we can knock out the rest of these before the show ends, hopefully, unless other calls come in. Let's go to Minnesota, up there near the Iron Range. Yeah. So, Minnesota, 612 area code. What's going on?
You betcha.
Yeah,
Flat News Talk. Hey, how you doing, Mark?
Who's your favorite wide receiver? Sorry.
Wide receiver. Sport. Don't really care for the sport thing.
No. That's all right.
Back in the day, it was...
You're not a big Brett Favre fan or anything up there.
Not really.
Yeah, that's all right. So
it's like I can't understand people. I can't understand how much money they get to play a game. I'd rather be out there playing the game instead of watching it and see these guys get rich. So that's my take on sports.
I hear you. So what's on your mind, man?
Yeah. Me being a remodeler and using a lot of the same tools that our surveyor is, because I use a lot of different levels, water levels and irregular spirit level, and which, by the way, I don't know why they call it a spirit level. That's just a brand. It's actually a torpedo level. But anyhow, had to throw that out for Mark, for D Marble, and plumb bobs and whatnot. When you were doing your survey, this never ever crossed your mind on how flat everything was that you were doing until you heard Mark's show?
Not until Mark's influenced him just bringing it forward to think about. No, I'm ashamed to admit that it never crossed my mind, but it was never mentioned in my training. Anyone, I've never. I mean, I worked with several hundred surveyors, and when we have a state meeting, maybe once every year, and we all meet in Columbia in the center of the state. I mean, socializing at the bar afterwards, wherever. I'm ashamed of myself, but I don't think anybody else. If it crossed anyone else's mind, I never heard them mention it. It's just something that when you have pilots, that would.
if that even was mentioned, it'd be a hush-hush thing over in the corner.
Probably so. Yes, it is. That's a good point. But when pilots, I've heard pilots say they flew with the military, and then later in commercial airlines, they might be pulling our legs, but they'll say, until somebody mentions it, then they go and the light goes off. I'm sure pilots don't like me.
Yeah, I had. I had a particular. Oh, I'm sorry. I had a particular guy that was working with me, and we were using a plumb bob that day, and he was up top on a rafter, holding the string to the plumb bob, and he kept messing with me and kept, kind of moving it around. And I'm like, dude, you got to keep it still. You got to keep it still. It's spinning. It's going in a circle. He's like, it's a spin of the earth. And we ha and joked about it. And I never ever even thought about that until I listened to Flat Earth Clues.
Yeah. Yeah, you've seen that. What is that? Fulcrum pendulum? What's that?
Oh, Foucault pendulum.
Yeah, explain to me how that would.
Which is, by the way, is run by a motor. Nobody knows that. It started up by a motor.
Right.
Well, I don't see how they display it as proving the spin of the Earth. I don't see how that thing could work unless it was on the North Pole or the exact South Pole. How could it be working anywhere else on Earth?
Good point.
Am I right?
Hey,
then they would have to go by the axis on what way the Earth is tilted. So then they have to figure out, it wouldn't be at the north or the south. In order to get that, we have to be over here in the center. Yeah, I could just hear them talking, and then of course, if they can't answer anyone's question, then they'll just revert to their scapegoat. It's gravity.
Or refraction. Refraction is the latest scapegoat, I think. But I know refraction exists, but it's stretched quite a bit to meet their model. But I would think that the Fulcrum pendulum if it was a bullseye, the axis would have to go right through the middle for it to work like it.
You would think.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. Absolutely.
Hey,
and Mark, sorry I didn't.
I
was listening. I come in last week to listen to your show, and I'm ready to call in. I call. I get on, and I hear myself talking. I'm like, what? Wait a minute.
Nice.
And then
That's
it dawns
awesome.
Repeating everything. So you broke your computer. It's a rookie mistake. You hate to see it happen.
No. I didn't break my computer. I wore that machine out. I just pounded on that machine. And that was a robust machine.
The only, give this one to me. It's the only time I got to use that phrase.
Thank you. All right, I'll give it to you. Hey, Wes, I want to see how many more calls I can get before the show ends. So I'd love, but I do have a quote for you before you go from the Peanut Gallery.
All right.
Ready?
Yep.
Okay. He who lives only to benefit himself confers on the world a benefit when he dies. That's from Tertullian.
Oh my goodness! Don't that up again. Everyone knows I'm arrogant. I like watching myself, hearing myself. Okay, I'll take it.
Yeah.
Hey, you guys have a good night.
All right. We'll see you, Wes.
Bye.
Okay, so we will jump over to 626. That's in Alhambra, California. 626, you are on with Strange World. You're not the last call of the night, but you're getting there.
Hey, what's up, man?
Hey,
how's it going, bro?
Hey, it's going pretty good. What's going on with you?
Nothing much. I'm glad to see that you have the surveyor on again.
Yeah.
That's awesome that he's still with us. I don't know too many of us that have actually fallen off.
No, very few. I mean, there's obviously the Tiger Dan Award, but he disappeared literally out of existence. I haven't heard of anybody else really though that's went back to the Globe and is now pushing Globe videos. That's why the Tiger Dan thing was so important. So no, we have a huge retention rate, and I love it.
Yeah, you know what? I'm wondering why am I drawing a blank on your guest name right now?
It's
I've heard it like a million times.
It's okay. It's Ray Goodwin.
Maybe you could help me out with it because, dude, I went around and around and around with my brother on this one day about the definition of sea level. And I was like, dude, it seems pretty self-explanatory to me. Like, it seems like it's in the word. like wherever the sea is hitting the coast would be sea level, right?
I believe the coast is the same elevation all the way around every continent and island nation. But the main thing that's compelling is you look up any iconic major man-made project. And like I looked up Hoover Dam, and every important, the top width, the height, the back toe, the front toe, every important point of that project. It's all tied to elevation above sea level. In fact, every major project is tied because that's their benchmark. If someone were to fail or to go wrong, you've got to have something of known, a certainty, a absolute, and that's the standard. Be it in private industry or major government projects. Mountains, Mount Everest, elevation above sea level. Marianas Trench, elevation below sea level. Sea level is the standard. It is the ultimate benchmark. But Neil deGrasse Tyson will tell you that now they use the center of a pear-shaped Earth, figure out how you get to the center of a pear, and then that's why Mount Everest isn't the tallest mountain. It's someplace in Ecuador. I forget what he said, because the Earth is not a perfect sphere. It's all bullshit. I mean, if you took Neil deGrasse Tyson's advice, and if you're a parent who monitors the growth of their child with notches on their door frame of their bedroom closet, and someone to ask you how much did little Johnny grow over the summer, and you say he grew 3 inches, you don't say he went from 4'6" to 4'9". According to Neil deGrasse Tyson, little Johnny grew from 5,959 miles, 4 feet 6 inches, to 5,959 miles, 4 feet 9 inches. That's the proper way to say how tall something is, according to Neil deGrasse Tyson. That's how ridiculous it is.
Well then.
But you're right.
I really don't give much thought.
You really don't what?
No, I was just saying I really don't give much to Neil deGrasse Tyson.
I was wrong. It's not 5,000. It's 3,959 miles. I said 5. It's the diameter.
It's 3,959. I always round up to 4,000.
That's best. But I certainly messed that up. But you're right, sir. Look at any man-made iconic major project, and I guarantee you, it is tied to elevation above sea level, as is every mountain. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought. And then here's a good one for today. Mark, you saw that video because you commented on it. The video of the overpass that says Google 200 proofs.
Yeah,
right
good
here
catch.
in. So that's pretty cool. I like that.
Now, did you drive by it, or did somebody call you?
No, I drove by it. I was driving on my way home, man. I was on the 60 freeway, and I look up and I see it, and I was like, I passed by it, and I was like, dude, I got to go back and film that. I had to go back and catch it on film because I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
And then out of nowhere today, man, completely out of nowhere, I get a message from a friend from high school, and his question was, what evidence do you have that proves the Earth is flat? And at first, I thought he was trolling me, and I was about to respond kind of in a smart-ass kind of way. And then it's a good thing his next comment was, serious question. Because then I kind of just sobered up and went, okay, here you go. And I started out with water with him.
That's good. That's where I'd start.
The surface of water always being flat.
Yeah.
It's very simple. It's something that we can all observe. I mean, look at a glass of water. It's flat. Scale it up to a bathtub. It's flat. Scale it up to a swimming pool. It's flat. A lake. It's flat. I mean, how much do we have to scale it up before you realize that water's always flat? 70% of the Earth, we're told, is water. How do you have 70% of a ball that's flat? Self-explained. It's dumbed down.
I think the answer to that is to never underestimate the power of a coward's cognitive dissonance.
Right.
True that. But yeah, between water.
Go ahead, Josh.
Got it. I was just saying, between water and gravity being a complete hoax, we got this. There's no way you can tell what the mass of something is just by looking at it. And to follow through with the equation for gravity, that's what you have to do.
Okay.
We got this.
I absolutely think we got
All
this.
right, Mark.
All right, man.
Dude, I'm going to get off your phone so that you can get through these calls, man.
Okay.
All right?
All right. Hey, have a good one, and keep it flat, okay?
All right, man. Peace out, guys.
All right, see ya.
Peace out.
All right, we're going to grab one more, probably before the evening is out, and let's do 805 area code. This will probably be the last one. 805 area code. Looks like California. Where are you? What's going on?
Hey, Mark, this is Carissa out here in Hawaii. I just haven't changed my phone number yet.
You know, you and me both. I've got a
Teresa and
Colorado.
Jeremiah here.
Hey, how are you? And it's Hawaii. It's the sun hasn't even set out there, has it?
That's correct. And the
Nice.
lava is flowing into the sea.
Right. You guys are big news right now. We see like daily things over here.
Yep. Well, I'm so glad to be on, and I just wanted to say to Ray, I'm a Missourian myself. I was born in Missouri, and I appreciate everything that you've shared.
Well, thank you very. And I went to Hawaii on my honeymoon. I'm no longer married, but so you're from Missouri and now you reside in Hawaii. Is that right?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Can I ask,
on the Big Island.
May I ask you a question? May I ask you a question, ma'am?
Of
May I
course.
ask you? Okay. As a resident of Hawaii, is there concerns? Is there any discussion about the Fukushima Daihatsu nuclear radiation? Because Hawaii is between Japan and where we are, and you're out there on an island. I would think that I hear the Pacific is all but dead, and I was wondering if you hear if that's discussed much in circles or even on the media where you live now.
Thank you for that question. I'm going to let Jeremiah answer that. I will just say for myself, because I don't really pay attention to the news much. I've not had anyone share that specifically with me, but I'm out here in the country on a farm, so they kind of have to call me if they wanted to share that with me, because I don't email that much either. However, that's changing. But
you're smart not to
I'd say for me, thank you. And I stopped eating fish myself just in case. And here's my sweetheart to tell you more.
Good.
Yes,
Jeremiah.
well, that's a very good concern. That's right, my brother. And the powers that should not be keep things on a very low profile, so there's nothing out here publicly or in the paper or even being talked about. It's just people that are really looking and studying the ocean currents and being flat earth thinkers to put that together. However, yes, we're no longer eating the fish, and I just grow fish. I do aquaponics, so that's what my thing is to grow fish.
We will be putting that on
And that will be coming up shortly as I get everything put together. And
you have control of
thank
that.
you for asking. Very astute question.
Now my question?
Yes, that's the beautiful Carissa. Please,
Carissa, better hurry. You've got about 70 seconds.
Okay, I can do it. Have you seen the video? I was on a late night flat earth exploration, and I saw a video of a guy who did the quickest proof ever, which had to do with time. And if we're rotating around the sun, wouldn't the sun have to start coming up either a little bit earlier or a little bit later? I can't remember which, but have you seen the guy with a chocolate chip cookie, a white piece of paper, and a dark background, and doing it in like a minute? He just says, isn't this a proof? Or, right there, bam, we can't be rotating around the sun.
No.
And I just want to know if you've seen that video, Mark.
No, I have not seen that video.
Nor have I, but I'll be looking for it.
Okay, if anyone who's listening has, if you can call in on another show, or Mark, if you hear
Or
about
just-
it,
or
you can
just email me.
It blew my mind.
If you know what the cookie video
Great.
is with the time thing, please email me at msargent23@comcast.net. And unfortunately, I hate to do this to you, Carissa, but the music's going in 10 minutes or 10 seconds, so we got to go.
That's okay.
Thank
Aloha,
you.
brothers.
Aloha.
Aloha. Thank you.
Stay safe out there, guys. And thank you, Ray. Stay
Bye,
on the
Ray.
line
Bye,
with
Mike.
me. Bye-bye. And
Thank you for having me.
stay on the phone. And, hey, I will be here next week, guys. I promise. Same flat time, same flat channel.
That's a great honor and privilege